All right, welcome back to another episode of Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff and Matt. And as promised, we have a loaded show for everybody today or tonight, depending on when you're watching it. Tomorrow, who knows? But as we are on draft eve, the NFL draft is tomorrow evening or tonight, whenever you guys are watching it. And we have our Washington contingency here to join us for the draft eve special. And those of you familiar with the show, remember Johnny and Evan might be popping on to join us later during the show as well. So with that being said, Matt and I last week talked about the Eagles targets that we kind of feel that the Eagles should either draft, or we feel the Eagles are going to draft, or they might move up a few slots to grab a guy if he falls. And we're going to go through that list as well. Johnny watches more college football than both Matt and I combined, so we're going to see if he's got some thoughts on some of these guys that we think the Eagles are interested in. And we're also going to get, one of our probably our number one. I don't think it's even probably. I guess Dallas is the enigma, and we don't know what's going on with that team. But more than likely, it's going to be the Washington team that's going to give the Eagles the biggest threat next season for the division. I don't think that's a reach to say at all, especially based on last year and the quantum leap that organization took. So they're also drafting pretty close to the Eagles. There's only a few, 4 slots ahead of us, something like that. What do you have, the 28th pick?
29.
29, okay, close. Yeah, so you're right there. Probably just waiting to see how the draft falls. But we get your thoughts on what you think the Washington strategy is. So to open the show, Matt, you have any general thoughts as we are on the cusp of another NFL draft?
Well, I think one of the interesting things about the Commanders / Redskins, I should say, in Johnny's honor, and the Eagles being so close is they've proven that they've been good trade partners before in the draft. So if there's somebody that's slipping down to 29 and the Eagles think we got to grab this guy because maybe the Chiefs are after him or somebody else, then I could see these small deals maybe being made as we get to the ends of rounds and if players are falling just to move up a spot or two. So it'll be interesting to see how those two teams interact with each other throughout the draft, because every round they're going to be right there at the end, flipping picks right over into the next round. So
good call.
Just really quick on that, I'll just add to that. It's also, I've seen a couple mock drafts where some of them, the Eagles and Washington, are kind of targeting the same players. So you wonder, because this is kind of I don't think the Eagles will move up much more than 4 or 5 slots if they have to. I don't think Howie's going to go for broke for anybody, but maybe to throw a couple of 3rd-round picks to move up ahead of Washington to grab a guy. Like the dude out of BC, I can't pronounce his last name, because I know Washington's looking at him.
To get to 27 or 28 ahead of us?
Yeah. I mean, I could
see that happen.
Yeah, that's a possibility, just to kind of Washington's to worry because they are ahead of us. But I know there's certain mock picks that have, like, the BC guy, for example.
Yeah, I know.
I know Washington likes him and the Eagles like him. So that's a guy, if he's sitting there at 26, 27, and if the Eagles like him enough and they feel Washington might be targeting him, you could see, I don't know who's drafting ahead of Washington that we make a deal with, but something like that could very well happen, to Matt's point.
From 25 back to 29, where Washington sits, you've got the Texans, the Rams, the Ravens, Detroit, and then in between the Eagles and Commanders are the Bills and the Chiefs. So that's where we're looking at for roughly 5 picks of trades.
Okay,
so,
good to know.
Welcome, Evan. Evan just popped on.
How's it going, guys?
What's up, Evan?
Good, man. Glad to have you, because you're the now, were you able to watch as much? I know you're a college kid and got a lot of things going on and distractions, but are you able to have your typical year of watching college football as usual, or are you a little bit not as into
not too much, but playoffs, bowl games,
All right. Well, either way, you guys still watch more college football than us, even if you have an off season. So you probably know some more about some of these guys than we do, and are interested in your assessment. So yeah, what Seven, just to catch you up, Matt and I had a podcast last week where we kind of identified who we thought who the Eagles would be targeting, or who we'd like the Eagles to target. So we're going to kind of go through that list with you guys, and then I'm sure you guys have a wish list of guys that you want Washington to draft. So we're very interested in hearing that too. So I don't know. Where do you guys want to start? We want to start with our list here, or do you want to go with your list, or just general thoughts about the draft, and then we'll dig into it deeper?
We can start with the Eagles.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
I think we should start with the Super Bowl champions. Why not? Why not? Okay, so Matt, why don't you give us a name off of the list that we talked about last week, and let's see if Johnny and Evan have any thoughts. And if you guys don't, that's fine. We'll just talk a little bit more about the player because the week's gone by, and we'll see maybe if anything has changed.
Yeah, well, so what's funny is we were just talking about Eagles and Commanders maybe targeting the same players.
Yep.
Every person on my list is basically subject to, if the Eagles don't go for safety Malachi Starks, if he falls that far in the draft.
Yeah.
Who would also be a potential Commanders pick at 29 if Malachi Starks is there from Georgia at the safety.
Yeah.
You guys did not sign Chin, right? Didn't Chin leave?
No.
So I'm like, I see a natural fit there. And the Eagles have some safeties
I'm
growing
glad to see him gone.
in the system.
He's a good player.
I'm not sure they would go there, but I think they've got to sign because they lost Milton Williams in free agency, and who knows if Jordan Davis is really going to be the guy after his fifth year comes up. I want them to go defensive tackle because the draft is deep in tackles, and if you put another guy, they're going to re-sign Jalen Carter next year for probably 5 or 6 years, and so if you draft a rookie defensive tackle that's got an A grade on him to park next to Jalen Carter, that's a no-brainer to me. It seems like there might be 3 or 4 tackles that they could grab maybe at the end of that first round to put there. So I have 3 names for you, Evan. You may be familiar with any of these, or Johnny. I am zero familiarity with them other than reading about them in magazines. But Darius Alexander from Toledo, Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, and Tyleek Williams from Ohio State are my 3 guys that I think may be there at the end of the first round. And if they're maybe a pick or 2 ahead, then maybe the Eagles move up 1 or 2 picks to get them, but probably not 5. But that's where I'm looking for the Eagles' first round draft pick if they stay there at 30.
I haven't really heard much about them, nor do I really. Does the name really ring a bell? But I mean, just talking about the positional needs is probably still good, I'd say. So.
Yeah, that's a position that Washington's going to be targeting too, because you guys let Payne go to Minnesota, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you're looking to get a defensive tackle, and that gets to kind of what I was saying earlier. That
not Payne. Allen. Not Payne.
John Allen.
Allen. Sorry, I knew it was one of the 2. Allen,
right. I mean, they're almost like twins.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been together. So Payne and Allen is just them.
Yeah. So my point is that you guys, I'm sure, are looking, especially
interior D line could be on the table.
I think
we
probably edge rusher more importantly, in my opinion.
Yeah. We signed Kinlaw from the Niners in free agency.
Yep.
To basically replace John Allen for practical purposes.
Mm-hmm.
He overall hasn't been as good as Allen has in his career, but he probably has more upside, and he's younger. And Adam Peters knows him from the San Francisco days anyway. So, I mean, I'm sold on that alone.
Well, I'll before we get to Washington, I'll throw my names out there. That I'm kind of targeting at the end of the first round. And again, some of these guys are guys that I think Howie could move up ahead of you, not necessarily ahead of Washington, but just to move up to get them. But I think they probably have Washington in mind because I think we're targeting, like you mentioned, the end, right? We also need pass rushers because we let 2 of them go. Well, we had Brandon Graham retire, and Josh Sweat went to Arizona. So we have 2 young guys definitely ready to take over, but we have no depth. So with that being said, I also had Walter Nolan. So we'll just talk about some of the again, I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me out with the last name pronunciation of the BC, of the BC guy. How do you pronounce the BC end? His name is Donovan
Azeruaku, I think.
Okay.
Azeruaku.
Okay, so that's one guy that I'm looking at and targeting. James Pierce is another one. I don't know. Well, some people I've seen him up there as high as like
Is he the one from
top
Tennessee?
15,
Is he the
and
one
I've
from
seen
Tennessee?
him in some drafts being down, available down at the end of the draft. So Pierce is another guy that I'm
From Tennessee, right, Geoff?
yes, out of Tennessee.
Yep.
Okay.
So what do you think about him? Do you know about him? Sounds like you do.
I do know. Yeah, I do know about him.
Okay.
He's a classic. This plays right into what the Eagles typically like to do. He is the classic off the field things are scaring people into letting a number 12 or 15 overall pick slide way down into the end of the round.
Fair enough.
Some question about work ethic is does he really love football?
Yep.
Okay. Or does he love getting paid to play football?
Right.
There's obviously a big difference. There's always a difference.
Well, I'd say the one thing is you can't not love winning championships. So
that's true. But I tell you this, you're right, Johnny, and how the Eagles have been fortunate because they've taken some guys that have slipped in the draft because
he slid essentially from 1-1 to 1-9 to get to Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, Jalen Carter should have been the 1-1 pick if it wasn't for the race in the car or whatever the heck was going on.
Right.
But this is the same. It's not that. It's not. He didn't go crash a car.
Yeah, this is more as if his heart is in the game.
Right. Yeah. His work ethic. Does he take plays off? Does he play to the whistle on every play? Because
here's the thing. This is what I wanted to bring up when you mentioned that, because to me, that would lead me to believe that Howie would not target Pierce, because the Eagles do not go after guys who don't love the game.
Yeah.
So
I
understand your point where they will go after guys and give them second chances if they have something that's not too horrible off the field.
Right.
But if they identify guys whose heart is not in it and their motor's not always running, that's not an Eagle draft pick. So when you saying that, it makes me – I wonder now if the Eagles have him on the list to target. We'll see. And lastly, and I know you probably know about this guy because I know you guys are, you focus a lot on – I know you're North Carolina, but this is a South Carolina guy. Matt mentioned Malachi Stark. I mean, I think if he's there, the Eagles will definitely move up to get him because that seems to be a big time need for the Eagles. I don't think he's going to fall, because I made this point last show. There's no great quarterback group this year where everyone's either going to want to move up or stay where they are to craft quarterbacks. So I think I don't think there's going to be a lot of trades like normally typically happen. There haven't been. This is like the only draft, I think, in the last 40 years where there hasn't been a trade in the first round. They were talking about that on one of the shows the other night. Like everyone is stuck with their pick so far. It's never happened in the last long time.
Nobody has any compelling reason to trade.
Geoff, how far could you see them trading up as far as I guess 32?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, maybe 5 slots. I don't see Howie. I don't think there's anyone in the draft that he would give up a whole boatload to go up to 20 even. I think it's going to be in the 23 to 27 or 8 range. That's what I think. Okay. I think that's possible. And I don't even call it likely. I think that I think the Eagles are probably going to stay right at 32 and take the best available player. That's my guess. And I asked Matt last week, I'm like, what's the where would you rank? I said, Eagles move up, stay, or fall back. And Matt ranked them, I think. What was your ranking, Matt? I think you said
stay put, trade back, trade up. So
okay, mine was trade up, stay, and trade back was my ranking. So I do, even though I just said I think it's unlikely. Doesn't totally contradict myself. I think the Eagles have a target right now, and if the guy is there, I think they will move up to 25-ish to potentially draft the guy that they really want. Otherwise, I think they'll stay there. And then my third option, I think the Eagles would trade back. So, my last guy I was going to mention is the other safety. This is a guy I think one of you guys might know and give me some more information about, is the Nick Amanori. It's the safety out of South Carolina.
Gamecocks. Yeah.
Do you know anything about him? He's like the second-ranked safety outside of Malachi.
Nick Amanori.
Interesting.
I don't know. I totally butchered his name. I'm
I'm
sure.
sorry. I don't know. I don't know
No.
enough this past year. No. But
Okay.
if I could go back and answer the same question that you just had on the Washington side, for me,
Yeah.
my preference would be trade back, stay put, and only trade up as a last resort. I don't
agree.
see anybody there willing to
Yeah.
clip off next year's second to move up.
I would say
6 or 7 spots to 21. No,
I would
think-
say
I
unless
think we'll
there's
get just as good at 29 as we can, and not give up any next year, because we're already thin on draft picks this year.
I would say if that's the only reason they go up is if they find like a franchise tackle and they really think he's going to be a franchise tackle.
I don't think
And that won't happen.
There's a
But that would be my
tackle
only
on this whole
justification for
draft.
that.
There's not a Penei Sewell, or there's not a Tristan Wirfs in this draft.
Not past 20 either.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I kind of agree with you guys there. Like you're looking at, like, what would you say the top need is for the Commanders? Offensive line,
Probably edge rusher, I would say.
Yeah, I think Evan's right. I
We
think
went out and got Laramie Tunsil.
Tunsil shores up the line enough.
That was a good move. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good move. I
Tunsil
agree.
fills a big hole that we don't have to reach. We don't have to reach at 29 for O tackle now, because that guy's not there.
Yeah.
There's not a guy there that's going to be available at 29 that you can't also get at probably 39, and he's not worth 29. So you're going to reach or you trade next year's second and get Tunsil, who's a proven commodity, and he's going to do just fine. I'm totally fine with that. I like that move.
So Lindsay has you guys staying at 29 and taking offensive guard out of Alabama, Tyler Booker, just for the
offensive guard. That would be,
just throw that out there.
To me, would be a very, very surprising.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I would be beyond shocked if they went interior offensive line in the first round of this first draft after Jaden. I don't see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be willing to come back on here on your podcast.
I've heard a lot.
I just wanted to, just to talk about it. This is what Lindy has. What is you had the Inthons, right?
Shocked.
What do you have for Washington taken with the first round?
I mean, I'm thinking corner or safety. I don't think Starks would be there. I mean, if Starks is there at 29, I'm probably turning backflips to get to the podium if it was me. But I've always liked him.
Well, let me ask you this: do you guys like Starks enough to leapfrog a few picks to prevent the Eagles from leapfrogging you to get him?
I mean, do I?
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, but does Adam Pete? Does our team? Does Washington? I don't know.
Okay.
And they traded significant draft capital to get Marshawn Lattimore, Debo, and
Tunsil.
And Tunsil. Yeah. I mean, they traded a total of 8 draft picks over the next 2 years.
That's a lot.
For those 3 players. So they're not in the business, I don't think, to move from 29 to 22, because they're afraid that Philly's going to get to 21 and get Starks. I mean, I
was more or less just a couple slots, not all the way to 21, because I don't think the Eagles are going to. Like I said, I think the Eagles maximum.
If Philly got to 27, would
somewhere around there.
Would Washington burn draft capital to get ahead of them to 26? If we truly thought we were targeting the same player, I don't know. It depends on the player, I guess.
Yeah, I forgot. You guys have given up a lot of draft capital, so you don't have as much leverage as the Eagles do. The Eagles are loaded for the next couple of years with picks.
In terms of number of picks, we're down from your usual 7 rounds of picks.
Right.
Yeah. So you might take that South Carolina guy if he's there. Then say Starks is gone, you might snag him.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I corner and safety both, if they're a a type player, blue chip player, then I could see them going to either one of those if they really thought they were the guy. I mean, the former, Adam Peters was with the Niners and Dan Quinn was with Dallas, and they were never shy about drafting good defensive players early. If
right,
if they were the best players on the board, they knew it. I mean, Dan Quinn helped build the Legion of Boom in Seattle, even back in the early Pete Carroll days.
So on sports,
so who's the corner then that you would like them to target? Who would the corner be?
I haven't dug into it enough to adapt to the draft. I mean, honestly, the corner.
Evan, you got a name?
Not really. I was thinking. I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot, or at least I've seen like tweets that we might trade back with the Giants, and they might jump back in the first to snag like Jackson Dart, and then we take.
QB.
I think they have like pick 57 or something. We take that.
You're not going to help the Giants, though, are you? Is that realistic?
Say again.
I mean, I could see the Giants wanting to do that, but do you think the Washington would help out the Giants?
That's what I was thinking, because, like, I mean, if we think the guy's trash that they're going for, then we set him back a few years.
That's
you know what I mean? We set him back a few years, and we get some extra picks. But I mean, it might be unrealistic, but I've just heard that from, like, I guess, an insider guy that that could happen.
I mean, if Philly and Washington can trade, then why can't New York and Washington trade? And Philly and Dallas traded 3 years ago, and
we've done it a couple times.
You got Devontae and they got Micah. I mean, you both got what you wanted out of it, and Dallas actually got an extra pick out of it from you.
So Athlon Sports has the Commanders take in Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall.
He's also one of those guys with some checkered things off the field.
I've heard about that too.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did he start out at UVA?
Oh,
does it say?
Let me check.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure, but I know there's a lot of analysts that are very high in that guy, though. I've heard his name quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm fairly positive that he is from Virginia, and I want to say that he might have started his career at UVA. Let's see here.
Well, we'll look that up for you there, Johnny.
Yeah, I might be able to pull it up here.
Yeah, transfer from Virginia, according to Athlon.
There it is.
I was there
Johnny getting his cred. See, we bring on people who know what they're talking about.
Hometown is Williamsburg, Virginia.
Hey.
I was at the University of Virginia yesterday, actually.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
There's a guy I've heard, his name's Michael Williams.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% of his college, but I heard he's sort of like an edge rusher that sort of also is good at stopping the run, which is something that is definitely, like, we could definitely use someone who's versatile in both. Because we gave up a lot of, like, we weren't too good against the run last year, nor did we have any, like, we might have been, like, close to the bottom in sacks. So a guy that's versatile and can help in both ways definitely could be a good draft pick.
Yeah, he's
interesting fact about Mike Green. He was recruited to UVA as a wide receiver. You don't see that transition off. Wow. He must have had a growth spurt freshman year.
He must have put on some bulk.
Yeah, he went from a tall, dominant, like, wide receiver type to adding some weight and using that speed.
How tall is he?
He's 6'4".
How tall is the guy?
6'3", 251 is what I'm showing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
I wonder when these folks measure these guys. Yeah. So he's in that range. You know, he's on the thin side for DN, but he can move.
Yeah. I mean, he's like Parsons sized. I don't know if he's got Parsons' freakish ability, but he is one hell of an athlete, apparently.
So, Matt, I don't know if you heard, but there is this wild, again, rumor. So say what you want about it. This time of the year, there's always a lot of these type of things going around. You don't know how much is real or not, but the latest is the Eagles are going to make a big move up in the first round. Again, I don't see them doing this for Jalen Walker out of Georgia. That's the latest,
Well, you don't have enough Georgia
clickbait
guys
that's going
left.
on.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that?
You got to get all of them. I mean,
I'm just saying that's what I heard.
I mean, that'd be a.
I don't believe it, but
I've heard.
I mean, to get
Sorry.
you'd have to get up to what 14 to get him, 15,
Yeah.
18?
exactly. They'd have to give up a lot.
Yeah,
Don't see
go
him doing-
from 32 to 14. You're talking about
Right.
at least next year's one, maybe the next 2 years of ones. I mean, did they like him that much? You think?
Again, this is
I
just
know.
the latest clickbait in the Philadelphia circles
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
So I
I've
don't.
heard we might possibly stay and get Travion Henderson, who's a running back from Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Dude, the running
But-
back position is deep.
So
Yeah.
it's a deep running back.
So I was
Yeah.
thinking that we probably wouldn't do that, but I have seen some
Yeah.
things where it said he might go higher than usual. So
Yep. The guy that I like, and I sent Matt, I don't know if you've been able to watch any of the footage I sent you, but the guy that I love to see maybe in the third, fourth round is Scadaboo out of Arizona State.
he's a dog. I like him.
I love that guy.
That's definitely an Eagles type of player too.
I know. I was telling Matt,
You know?
we would love that guy in Philly.
He's a anti-tush push insurance policy is what he would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a little toss it to him and let him jump over the pile or something.
Or just
Yeah.
mash
Barrel into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Just
barrel-
bowling ball into
he
it.
works with players.
He is. He's a free. He's like, I don't like to compare anyone to Mike Allstott, but if there's a guy, at least from his college film,
Like,
Yeah.
also-
that guy is like the second coming of Mike Allstott.
You're in good
Okay.
hands with Allstott.
Yeah. Matt, you were able to look at any of the video I sent you?
No, I have not watched that video yet. No.
Okay.
But he's like a 260-pound, short, made of stone.
Freaking beast.
Arizona State or
Yeah. Scatterboo is Arizona State. Yeah.
yeah, I was watching the playoff game. I'm not sure they're playing. I kind of forgot, but he was putting the team on their back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he
I think
was.
he rushed for maybe 200 yards or something.
Yeah, he had at least 200 all-purpose yards.
But here's the thing: if he ends up being drafted by you guys, I'm sure you guys might be looking at him too, third round. I don't know where he's going to go. They're kind of projecting him in third, fourth round, but
I think skill
I could see
positions-
he'd be like your next John Riggins. You know?
I don't. I mean, he's short though, isn't he? Or is he? I mean, he's not like.
I don't think he's that short.
Yeah, I think he's short.
He's
and stocky.
built a lot like Allstott. To me, he looks exactly like
I thought he
Allstott.
might be
Same
closer
size.
to 5'8", 5'10".
Yeah, I don't.
I don't
think
know.
he's-
Let me see what they have him
Allstott-
listed as.
Allstott was like what? Wasn't he like 6'2", 240? I mean, I don't think Scatterboo
I don't think
is.
he was. I don't think he was that tall.
You don't think Allstott?
I don't know. I have to
was?
look. I don't remember him being that tall,
All
but
right, I'm looking this up now.
All right, 5'11".
I'm going to look up Scadaboo.
He's
Okay.
5'11",
250.
Who is
216.
Scadaboo?
5'11", 215.
Mike
Okay.
Allstott was 6'1", 248. I wasn't far
Wow,
off.
okay, all right.
Scatterboo.
Okay, so he's not as big, but he runs like Allstott. I'll put that.
Not tight.
Allstott was the closest thing to Riggins after Riggins.
Well, anyway, that's my comp for Scadaboo. That's all
I
I'm
like
saying.
I like Allstott. I always loved Allstott. He was one of my.
Yeah, oh yeah, I love that guy too. He was great. But I'm saying second effort running, being able to just, take 8 guys to get you down.
Plow
That type of
anybody
thing.
down.
Yeah. So, you guys, who are some of the other players that you guys are excited about or hoping Washington grabs? Doesn't have to be first round, but just somewhere in the draft. And any guys that you have out there that you're, kind of hoping they grab, or any sleepers perhaps that you can identify.
I love the running back from my alma mater,
Oh,
but there's
Hampton.
no way that Washington will.
Oh no, he's a top guy, isn't he?
Unless he He
Number
could
two.
he could go 29 for Washington, but I
You're
don't
talking about
think
Hampton, right?
Washington. Yeah, Omari
Yes.
and Hampton. Yeah,
Yeah, they got him the number
love
2 back only behind Gentry.
Genty,
And,
yeah, and that's probably legit. I
Yeah.
also Evan was right earlier when he was talking about Travion Henderson. He's
he's
a
good.
different kind of back.
They
He's
also have
more
Judd. Yeah.
Yep.
Also Ohio State Judkins. I'm not
Quinn-
sure
Quinn
where they
something.
kind of ranked them, who's better, but I know they both had like 2 tutties in the Natty.
Yeah,
And-
those guys both look like beasts. The Ohio State
Yeah,
guys.
so I mean, it's Ohio State players in general.
So
Ohio
here's-
State receiver. Yeah.
Here's
know
the thing.
anything like that.
Even though Hampton is the number 2 rated running back behind Ginty from Boise State,
Right.
they still think that that's second round or later. So all the rest of the guys, the Ohio State running backs,
They're right, and that's why I say I don't think there's any way Washington will get him at 20. Would draft him at 29. Now, if he's still there at 50, whatever. No, wait, I don't even know if we have a second.
Tell you what, though, because this is such a deep draft with running backs, and the fact that in recent years running backs have not really been drafted in the first round, it's possible your Carolina guy might be there for you. I don't think it's. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, he'll be there at 29. I don't think we'll draft him.
Okay, see, and you wouldn't want to draft him either, as much as you are a Carolina guy.
Yeah, I don't want running back round 1.
He's a great player.
Unless it's a Saquon, unless it's a Saquon, Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson,
Gibbs,
Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't want.
I would say
I don't want anybody.
If we were to get running back in the first 2 rounds, it needs to be a guy who runs like 4.5, 4.4. Like I want a guy who can really win the game with.
That's why I like Travion Henderson myself.
Yeah,
I don't need him to carry 28 times
exactly
up the middle, but I want when I toss him, and I mean it is 3 steps and he is down the sideline. He's gone. I mean, you know what that's like with Barkley.
That's Jahmyr Gibbs or Saquon, obviously.
Yeah, Gibbs. I mean that's what he reminds. That's what.
And I think that skill position kind of went down our draft board a little bit because we got Devo. He's a little older, got a little chunkier. So he doesn't have he doesn't have the speed.
He can definitely carry out of the backfield too.
Yeah,
he runs like a running back, even when he catches the ball. His yak yards, he's always mow guys.
I think with him and Eckler, we'll have a really dynamic offense that should be pretty hard to stop. I mean, at least if we can sort of utilize them in the right way.
Yeah, and it's a deep running back draft. So even if you don't get, and I agree with you, I wouldn't pick a guy in the first round either.
You might
be able to get a really good guy with your 3rd round, draft pick.
Yeah,
really, really good running back. This one goes probably about 15 running backs deep that are at least, above average to really
potential. Yeah, starting caliber players. Yeah,
exactly. All right, let's see. Matt, anyone else on the list you want to run? That were Eagles targets, not necessarily in the first round, that you want to just kind of bring up for discussion that we talked about last week?
Well, so I think if one of the offensive tackles slips down and or if they eyeball the talent there, I think they will work the lines first. I still think defensive tackle is where they're going to go, but I definitely see them drafting like offensive tackle in the 2nd, 3rd round, somebody that they can maybe even turn into a guard, just like they seem to do with everybody lately. They just take these big 6'8" fellas that are 320 pounds and are like, we're solid at tackle, but you can play guard, and then they just mow down these teams. So I think I had a couple guys that were kind of sleeper picks according to like the magazines, but they're also these guys that the Eagles like to work with. And one of them's Chase Lunt from UConn, and then
that's right.
Who I think was San Antonio State. I got to check out. But I can see him going offensive tackle to either prepare for Lane Johnson moving on eventually.
Right.
If somebody is there that they like. If not, maybe they wait till next year. But I think they're going to backfill behind guys that they've got big contracts on. So, Lane Johnson can't play forever, even though he said he's coming back next year.
Right.
He says he's got 2 or 3 more years left, he thinks, and then we're gonna have to start looking for, his replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's time to start looking for the heir apparent for sure.
Yeah.
So I think tackle might be where they're looking. Maybe linebacker or edge rush. That might be where they might have. I don't know. Like they if an edge defender falls in the first round, they might go that way too. So, and I would imagine that the only thing the Eagles would trade up for would be an edge defender.
Or Malachi.
Malachi Starks.
Yeah.
Because I think the Eagles have more depth at that defensive back safety position. They've got a few guys that they've drafted over the last couple of years that have playing time. I don't think they trade up for Starks. If Starks is there, they might grab him. But if an edge defender falls to like 23 around there, then maybe they make a move to go get an edge defender.
I mean, it could be that Mike Green guy from Marshall.
And it's all about when Geoff and I talk about this all the time, and all of what happens in a draft and why I think Howie's an expert at it. One of my favorite guys that was on as a host or as a guest to any of the NFL radio shows years ago was Andrew Brandt, who used to be like the money guy for the Packers years ago. And I'm not sure if he's related to Gil Brandt at all, but Andrew Brandt would always drop all these pearls of wisdom where they're like, nope, that team's not going to do that because if you look at the salary cap and you look at the contracts that they have, they are stuck or they've got the ability to move. And when you look at the Eagles and you look at where the money is, like the local fan base always goes nuts sometimes. Like in free agency, when they let some of these guys go, all the Eagles fans are like, what the hell's going on? They just don't even know anything. And you're like, you have to sign these big guys. The surprising one this week was signing Cam Jurgens already to his next contract. And they're getting him out of the way because, as Geoff and I had talked, I'm like, Jalen Carter is
next.
He's coming up.
Yep, he is going to bring
that's if you decide to let Davis walk.
Yes, which I think they might.
They
drafted defensive tackle first round. They've
decided that. I get it. You can't keep all of them.
Yeah, and then once you figure out that money part, it's like, okay, the rookie contracts are the best way to get 5 years. First round draft picks, you get the 5th-year option. You get them on the cheap. So Howie,
especially if you nail the quarterback like Washington did last year.
Yeah. So it's like if you nail the quarterback and you've got that solidified, so the Commanders are the same shape as the Eagles, then it's just, even if you've got a stud on your roster, draft that guy that you know is going to be here for 5 years under contract, and it doesn't matter if he has to. Like the old school thought is, he's got to play right away and all this stuff. And I'm like, if he's good enough, he will. But if not, that's fine. I don't mind my first round. I mean, Bill Belichick, when the Patriots were in the Super Bowls, this is what's going to be good about our drafts for the next few years. We just get to sit back with no pressure and let these guys fall to us who got passed over for one reason or another. And then we'll sop them up. We'll be like, got another starter, at 29, at 32.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll be as fortunate as last year's draft when we were able to get both Mitchell, who fell. I mean, everyone had him projected to be a top 15. And for some reason, and again, because it was such a deep quarterback draft, everyone was up there chasing the quarterbacks, and all the defensive players were dropping, and Eagles were like, thank you. So we got Quentin Williams, top 15 pick, and late in the draft. And then, of course, we made the move with Washington, which ended up being a trade that kind of worked out for both of us. And when we got Cooper.
Evan and I were talking about that about, 5 hours ago today, about that specific trade, that if the tight end that we got with the other second round pick, Ben Sinnott, doesn't turn out to be much, then we lost the trade.
Yeah.
Sam Restill's a stud, but I'm not sure he's Cooper DeJean stud.
No. And even if
he's not yet.
Yeah. I guess you wouldn't have had Sanders still and Cooper.
They both had picks in the playoffs. So
yes.
Yeah. High impact. Yeah.
He had 2.
High impact.
Sanders still had 2.
High impact interceptions in playoffs.
Oh man, they're both freaking studs, man.
Yeah,
they put up Michael's numbers. His numbers overall were top 3 cornerbacks in the league as a rookie.
We were
And then we know-
talking.
We
We were talking earlier, saying DeJean could have easily been the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, him or Sweat. Sweat deserves a
Josh
lot.
Sweat had a big game.
I can tell you, I would bet that there will be a ton of trades in the second round versus
Yeah, I can see that too. I think
running backs, defensive.
I think Washington's trade. I think we're going to trade down. I really do.
I think so as well.
I think we're going to trade down to 34, 35 with maybe
the Browns
Cleveland or
Those
Cleveland
guys
or the Titans or somebody that somebody
the Giants,
wants to get
possibly.
back up to 29 to. I mean, Evan was probably right to get Jackson Dart or maybe Shadur Sanders,
and then we take
somebody's like, okay, I'd rather get Sanders at 29, so I get the extra fifth year than get him at 32. At 34, 35, whatever.
That's true. And the same thing, the Eagles going to get a lot of calls of that last pick in the first round too.
Yes, that's
to Matt's
always,
point. Probably why Matt has them.
That's
potentially moving back because that's the last chance you get for that fifth year option. That last pick in 32. So who knows who might be calling the Eagles if they're looking to either get one of the quarterbacks or whoever.
7 years ago, the last pick in the first round turned out to be Lamar Jackson. Won 2 MVPs. Right. I mean, that number 32, and Baltimore traded up to get 232 to get that fifth year option, and it turned into Lamar Jackson. He's won.
And I think that was the Eagles that they traded with, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, because that was after coming off the.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl in 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
32.
So it was the Eagles who they traded.
Wow, I didn't even realize that.
Well, the Ravens trade all the time too, and the Ravens are just a few spots ahead of the Eagles.
That's true. Right. Yeah, that is true.
That's going to be an interesting.
And they're only a couple spots ahead of us. I mean,
we made a really rough trade with the Ravens.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not thinking of the right one, but we traded down to get, I think, Jahan instead of Olave, and then they took Kyle Hamilton. Or is that the wrong draft?
No, that was the same draft.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah, it was the wrong one because
we had pick 11, and which we traded to New Orleans for their first, which was 16, which we drafted Jahan Dotson, and then we also got a third and a fifth. The third ended up being Brian Robinson Jr.
And then
the fifth was Sam Howell.
Yeah.
So it was an interest. Neither of the other two, Howell and Dotson, aren't obviously on our team.
D-Rob's on the team, but
Robinson his days might be numbered too.
By the way, speaking of Dotson, this is breaking news as of today. The Eagles have declined his fifth.
Oh, I saw that as well.
So this might be his last year as an Eagle.
They shockingly declined his fifth year option.
It probably will be the last year as an Eagle.
Not shocking, but again, Matt and we defend the guy because he caught every pass they threw to him last year, including in the Super Bowl.
I mean, we kind of dog him just because we dog him.
I know, I get it. Well, you made out on that trade for sure.
You also had Sam Howell to him. So,
you guys definitely made out on that trade. But I just wish the Eagles would use him more. They don't throw to him enough.
I mean, I still think he's a talented player. I really do. I mean, it sucks that he didn't work out for us, and he was probably overdrafted. I mean,
here's what's interesting.
He's definitely overdrafted, yeah.
What's very interesting that's going to affect both of our teams, just because we were talking about it with these trades back up to get into the end of the first round, is if I want to win and I'm drafting this year. And I'm looking at this crop of quarterbacks. I'm like, I don't believe in Cam Ward. I don't believe in Shadur Sanders. I don't believe in anybody. I really don't. They're all projects to me.
Yeah.
So I'm and if you put them next to like Peyton Manning or some of these other quarterbacks that went 1 or 2 in the past years, I'm like, they're not even close.
James Daniels.
They're not even close to Daniels.
No. And you look at
Peyton Manning.
You look at the other talent that's there, and I'm like, if you're Tennessee, how do you not draft a Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter at number 1? And if you're Cleveland at number 2, you're like, imagine if Tennessee drafts a quarterback number 1 and Abdul Carter's there, and you can get him on your team for 5 years to play with Myles Garrett, who you
I think they're going to.
Yeah, who you just
4
re-signed.
years. And it's like now you've got
they're going
two incredible defensive edge rushers.
DN rushers.
All.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
But you still have no quarterback.
I'm like,
Yeah. Evan just said the $1 million phrase, but you still don't have a quarterback.
you still don't.
Unless
they
you think
signed
Rashad.
And if you've got that number 2 pick though at 30, 35, I guess, 34 would be their next pick. I think they do swap with the Giants in the second round. I think those picks go back and forth every round. Like Browns get number 2 first round, but now they get the 3rd of the second round, and Giants move it to 2 for some
Okay.
But I'm like, if you're there's no way if I'm one of those early teams looking at the back end of the draft that I risk that much on one of these quarterbacks. I don't care what their name is.
Yeah.
So you're kind of saying like if you're at like 35 or whatever, you don't even need to trade up.
They might.
No one's going to take him anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair because I don't see any of those teams that pick 28, 29. Obviously, they all have quarterbacks. So no one's really going to take Jackson Dart. I understand what you're saying. So
yeah,
I think that's definitely a good analysis.
Like I would sit back, and I don't hate these teams, but I'd be like, this is why you're going to be in the cellar a little while longer. Like grab the guy that you know.
The Browns.
Yeah. Trade for the other.
I think that's a smart approach. I honestly didn't really think about that.
The Browns might be thinking of it though, because they did solidify the quarterback position. They traded for Pickett, and then they just signed Joe Flacco again. Now,
I didn't hear that. They got Flacco.
He's just raking up money.
Browns. And I know those aren't high quality talents, but I'm like, but if that allows you to say I can grab Abdul Carter now with our first pick, we don't have to worry about quarterback for another year. Yeah. We'll just suffer with what we got, but they're not going to be any worse than a rookie.
Right. And if they suck again, they got a chance to grab Manning next year, maybe.
Yeah.
That bad.
And I think the Giants and the Browns are both looking at that. They're looking at Archie Manning bloodline and saying, we don't, both of them solidified their quarterback position outside the draft. Tennessee's the only one that didn't, which makes me wonder if they will draft Cam Ward number 1. But that's,
I think they are gonna
take Ward.
They're gonna draft Ward number 1. They almost don't have a choice, even if they can't hate him. He hasn't done anything.
He is the best out of the group, but it's not a talented group, but he is probably the best one.
I mean, legitimately, if he was in last year's draft, he would have gone below
right.
Caleb, Daniels, Drake May, Penix, McCarthy, maybe ahead of Bo Nix.
Yeah,
and then Bo Nix actually had a great year. He would have. Cam Ward would have been.
So he'd have been about 6th.
The 6th best quarterback out of this last year's draft, and he's going to be 1-1 this year. I mean, that's just bad luck for Tennessee, really.
Bad luck, and nobody wants to trade up for him, which is why
that's even worse luck. They are stuck.
They're stuck with
him.
They really are.
They're going to have to try to make something work. I mean, they don't have a choice. They can't trade out of the pick. That nobody will give them anywhere close to the other draft capital to get to 1-1 because there's nobody there. And honestly, if somebody should go from 5-1 and go get Travis Hunter, play him both ways. And I mean, who would that be though?
Do you think he's going to play both positions in the NFL?
Hopefully not the Giants.
I think
he will.
I don't want Travis Hunter to go to the Giants because I actually
he will. I think he'll play.
I think he's going to the Giants. I think Carter's going to go second to the Browns, and I think
Hunter's going to go to the Giants. That's going to suck playing against him for the next 10 years.
But I don't see him playing both positions, though. I don't see
I don't think it matters. I mean, he's going to be a badass at either way.
I think he plays a little. I think you'll see him catch a few screen passes, maybe some end arounds or like.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, when it all shakes out, I think he'll end up on defense.
Didn't he win the Blitnikoff for receiver? I might be wrong.
I haven't seen him any lower than 1 or 2 in any magazine or draft for like top receiver. And then even with cornerback, Will Johnson, I think, is the only other guy that I've
Yeah,
seen.
Will Johnson, I think he's top 5 as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
But I find it so interesting because, all of our draft that we're going to wait for when we're waiting for 29 through 32 to come around is going to be so predictable once we watch how all those guys pass on quarterbacks. Because, pretty much we're gonna if those quarterbacks are still there past 20,
22.
yeah, then
Right.
you can almost bet we're trading back. Almost both of us will probably.
That's true, but again, we're talking about how that's not a good quarterback group. So this is not a typical year where there's a lot of quarterbacks. So are they going to be these teams all trying to get them?
But if you're Cleveland, and you didn't draft Cam Ward because he went 1, and you didn't think Shador was worthy of drafting at number 2, but you can get back into the first round and still get Shador at 29 with us, or
right. Well, him. I mean, I'll give you him.
Or
but besides him, though,
Jackson
there's not
Dart
3 or 4 or 5 guys like typical year.
No, there's not. There definitely are not.
Yeah, if he falls, you could
4 or
definitely see some
5.
teams scrambling in to grab him. Before they end the first round.
And I mean, if he doesn't go top 4, there's a pretty big gap of teams that aren't going to draft QBs.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to fall for sure.
He's gonna. Yeah, I mean, he's either going to go 5th or he's going to go 25th. I think. Yeah, I mean, it literally could be that big of a slide if someone doesn't pop up and. I think he's overhyped, and I hope that I'm glad it's not going to be my team. This year. This is
you guys are all set at quarterback.
I'm in the rare position of not having to worry a bit about anything related to quarterback.
Isn't it nice not to have to worry about quarterback now? You guys are set.
Awesome.
I would say it's wonderful, but I don't have anything to compare it to because it's been about 30 years of quarterback.
You had to wait a long time, but you got one.
Quarterback wilderness. Not being in the wilderness anymore is wonderful.
Thankfully, we're not talking about Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yeah.
Right.
We can. Both of our teams can be thankful that Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson were not part of our potential. Maybe shot in the dark chances to maybe get a quarterback who's any good.
No consideration at all. Thank God.
We don't even have to talk to their agent. We don't have to book them a flight.
You could just focus on the draft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not any other trying to negotiate with one of these has-been last few years Twilight League type quarterbacks. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the Giants do. They definitely need a quarterback, but they might. I don't know what they're going to do. Would they go after Sanders? Would they be one of the teams that move back into the first round, like you're saying?
Yeah,
to grab him if he's still there.
To me, that would be the likeliest one. But I mean, like you said earlier, would either of us give the Giants pick? So knowing that they're going to lock up another quarterback, a potential great quarterback.
I don't think the Eagles would do that. You guys might. Well, I don't know if they offer the Eagles their future pick.
Baltimore. Yeah.
I know it's true. Look what Baltimore did. They got their franchise quarterback with the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean he's won MVPs.
So how he will do that? I mean, he will do it. He's. I don't know if he do it to division rival.
No, that is different. No, that is different.
You got to take that into account.
No, oh, definitely. But he's traded with us, and
he has made trades.
Yeah, no, we've traded quite a few times, even with our new regime, but even with the old regime,
if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have Coop.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Giants are all in for Archie Manning.
I mean, you're probably right about that.
You think they're flipping some money to Brian Dable to, hey, just can you suck one more time? Or
that would mean they would have to tank again.
Or he's just going to suck anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if the fan base is going to be willing to go through another season of just absolute garbage football. That fan base right now are just so sick and tired of the Giants losing.
Man, I hope they go 3-14 again. God, I love seeing them.
I feel so bad, but
I really I really hate them. God, I
Oh, I
almost,
know. I mean, I
swear
definitely hate it too.
I
I'm just saying.
swear I almost hate them worse than
And the
Dallas.
thing is, we'll end up playing two
So
tight
close.
games and almost throw one
Yeah.
away, probably.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, we either narrowly beat them or narrowly lose them in the flukiest, crappiest way possible.
Yeah.
Even last year,
one of the games we pretty comfortably won, but the other one was
the other one
nail
was
biter. And we
their
kicked 7
kicker got
field
hurt.
goals.
Their kicker got hurt on the opening kickoff, and then all they had to do was run 2-pointers, and we won 21-18 because we kicked 7 field goals.
That's right. That's right. You won that 7 field goal game last year.
That was Daniel's second game. That was after the.
Screwed.
And they dropped a wide open pass to put him in field goal range to win it.
Dable is screwed regardless because he's going to get all the heat because they
honestly
especially
he has the most punchable face. I don't know what it is about that guy. I just want to punch his face.
He's licking his.
He's looking at I promise, but man, Brian Dable makes me want to punch him.
Yeah, I think he'll be gone, and then they're going to make all the moves to go get him. And I think Dable just is the odd man out.
Yeah,
he had to suffer without Barkley. He has no quarterback. I don't think he was ever a believer in Jones, and he stuck with him his entire tenure with the Giants. And I think when he's finally able to maybe get Archie Manning, he's going to be the odd guy out.
So who did New York get? Russell
Wilson. Yeah.
Russell and somebody
they
else.
got someone else.
Jameson Wilson.
Yeah,
James Winston.
Oh, famous James. All right.
Oh, and Jameis. Yeah.
Yeah, Jameson too.
Russ and Jameson.
Both of our secondaries were like
I mean,
licking their chops when he's playing.
How many interceptions?
Dable's ready to go. Dable's ready to go get 2 wins, week 17 and 18, and then they can kiss bye to Arch Manning.
Yep.
And he can take his money and walk away.
Yep. That's probably what's going to happen too.
Yeah.
Interesting. So let's quickly just talk about Dallas, just because he's in our division. We haven't talked to him. What do you think about what do you think about the Cowboys? Where they might pick? I don't know. What pick do they have? They're probably like 20 something, 20.
Oh no, they're way higher than that.
25, 24.
No. Like
what was their record last year?
12, 8,
12 or 15.
Yeah,
are they that high?
Yeah,
they're 12.
Yeah, they were what, like
I can't remember what their record was last year.
13, 6 and 11. 6 and 11.
They are at number 12.
They're at 12.
Drafted after the 49ers and before the Dolphins.
So Lindy has him taking Genty, but he's not going to be there for the Cowboys.
I can see that.
I can see it, but I don't think he's going to be there.
No, he might get there. I think
the Raiders are going to take him. I don't think he gets by the Raiders. I disagree.
I think the Raiders they have so many more needs. Here's another prediction I have. One or the other of our two teams are going to be somehow involved in this Trey Hendrickson thing with the Bengals tomorrow night.
Ooh. Think so?
I think something's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson. I do not think Cincinnati's keeping him, and I think that if I would say Philly, Washington, and one other team will make the absolute most sense.
The Eagles would trade him Goddard in a package deal because Goddard is on a trading block.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I would make that. I would trade Goddard for Henderson.
But that's not going to be a straight up deal. I don't think.
I would
trade. They would not take that.
Would that be an acceptable trade, sir?
I would take it in a heartbeat, but they're going to want a little bit more than that.
Athlon Sports has the Cowboys going with Luther Burden the third.
Yeah, that's what I heard receiver for sure.
Yeah, I see the Cowboys going wide receiver. The guy from Texas, what's his name?
Do you think they would go quarterback, though? I wonder if they'd go quarterback.
It's a bad quarterback draft. They're not going to take it.
Dallas.
But it's not about whether they need him. It's about who does Dion want Shador to play for.
Oh, that's true.
Dion knows Jerry will pay. So I don't know.
So you think Dion could convince Jerry to draft Shador at 12 overall?
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, might be right. I don't think so. I mean,
I hope they do, but I don't think they're gonna do
Jerry's done some dumb stuff, but I'm not sure even he would.
I'm
Even
telling
he would.
That's all I'm
I
saying.
don't.
All
Even
I'll
he,
say
I'm
is
not
that
sure would do that. But
I'm
then
perfectly
again,
fine with them going into the year with Dak Prescott. Keep him as long as they want, and they're going to not win more than 10 games or win a playoff game. So,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So the Cowboys would go Alshon and Jinty. So I think that would be the pick.
I just don't think he's going to be there.
I think he will be there, but I don't. No, actually, you're right, Jeff. By 12, he'll be gone.
Yeah, I mean, I could see either. There's a lot of teams that need running back. Raiders, I could see taking him. I could see the Saints potentially taking him. Carolina potentially taking him. The Bears potentially taking him. They're all ahead of Dallas.
Actually, I honestly kind of hope the Bears don't take him. I think he would be nasty in that offense with Caleb.
I tell you what, Caleb Williams he might shoot up big time next year. They're loaded on offense.
Yeah.
You're going to find out a lot about Williams if he's the real deal or not. He kind of was up and down last year.
Oh, he
showed
was.
some really good promise and then had some rough spots, but that team is.
And he had to be compared all year to Daniels too. I mean, that's gotta suck. I mean,
yeah. So we'll see. I mean, he could really take off next year. All right, we can start to wrap it up the show. Any final thoughts here before we head into the draft tomorrow?
No, I still think that there so far has been no first round pick have been traded as of yet for the first time ever. That's not gonna happen. Some first round pick is gonna get traded, I think. It's anyone's guess, but
I think, like you said, like we've been talking, I think it'll be towards the end of the draft if it happens.
Yeah, into the first round is what I'm thinking too.
I don't see anybody trading up for the top 10, any top 10 pick, really. I think it'll be, if there's any trades, it'll be 25 below, I think.
Yeah.
I guess. Somewhere around there. We'll see what happens.
I'm excited to see who the Giants get.
8. I want to say it starts at 8.
Doesn't start at 8?
Yeah.
I want to say it starts at 8. 8 to
it starts at 8, and I don't even, if I'm going to live stream tomorrow, then I'm not even going to start till 10 o'clock. Because the Eagles won't be on the clock until at least a couple hours in. At least. Yeah. Probably 3 hours in. How long does the first round usually go? I mean, it's usually
all night.
It's usually about 2.5 hours at least.
You're right. You guys are right. It does start at 8 tomorrow.
It starts at 8.
Usually about around 11 o'clock.
Friday night, which is rounds 2 and 3, starts at 7.
That's 7, yeah.
And then Saturday, which is 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, it starts at 12 noon.
Yeah. I'm almost more excited to watch Friday at 7.
I know. Yes, exactly. That could be bonkers. There could be a lot of movement.
That's where there'll be a lot of trades, I think, on Friday.
Yeah.
What they're saying about this draft is that it's not top heavy, but it's deep.
Yeah.
Yep. There is
deep in defensive tackle, running back.
Really good players in the 2nd, 3rd, even to the 4th round.
Yeah.
More so than a lot of years. And
that's why you want to keep those picks and not trade them.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yep.
That's why nobody's moving up to Tennessee.
No,
Tennessee picked the wrong year to have the first pick.
I would still say Tennessee, just don't draft a quarterback. Do not. Just go get.
They're going to, though. They're definitely going to.
Pick is in. Abdul Carter. Just say it. Say it out loud.
They should do that. Who, by the way, is an Eagles fan, for the record. Huge Eagles fan. He is.
Maybe he'll slide all the way to 32.
Quit dreaming.
And Howie can pull another horseshoe out of his his hat.
Yeah. Somebody's got a video somewhere of him smoking weed from a bong like Tunsil when Tunsil dropped.
Just before the draft starts. The Eagles select Carter with a 32nd pick. Dude, I think Johnny Flowers would.
I would literally
run off a bridge if that happened.
He would run over to Wisconsin and start throwing cheese at him.
I would.
He's still fuming about Carter.
I am still mad about that. I was mad as soon as it happened. I knew it was going to happen.
He texted me like 5 rounds before.
Long distance, and I knew the trains were getting ready to collide. And there was nothing I could do about it. And I was like, they're going to end up getting Jalen Carter, aren't they? And every time he sacks my quarterback, it makes me even more upset.
He really saved the Eagles last year. That one close game they had in the playoffs against the Rams.
Yeah.
It was Carter who came up with those two big,
big
plays, man. Because the Eagles, they had Stafford run. Stafford was probably going to score a touchdown there. So yeah, he's a beast.
Saquon saved you guys.
And
enjoy the draft. I think it's going to be fun to see what happens, but it's going to be lively when we get down to our picks.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so I may, if you guys are still up when they're picking tomorrow night, I'm probably going to be live streaming. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. And I'm letting obviously the audience know now. I might be live streaming for the Eagles pick tomorrow night. But anyway, thanks for watching as always. Anyone with any final thoughts before we go?
May Dell suck as bad as always tomorrow night.
I'm excited, honestly.
Hail is all I'm saying.
Hey, it's night before Christmas.
Oh, and there's a good possibility that RFK, the old RFK site, is going to be back in play for the new.
Oh, it's like pretty
it's
a
all
$3 billion site. Like it's pretty confirmed, I think.
And it's going to be a dome. It's going to be 68-ish thousand. So
I hope it's retractable.
It'll be enough to host. No, it's not. I don't. Last I heard, no. But they can host Super Bowls. They can host big, huge concerts.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Like I said, the one picture I saw of it, I didn't know if that was actually the picture or not, but it looked pretty impressive. It looked pretty awesome.
Go District of Columbia. Boo Landover, Maryland.
All right, guys. Thanks again for joining the show. We'll either way, we'll come back for a post-draft rewrap next week if you guys can join us for that. Be interested in that way we can kind of recap everybody's thoughts and see how we all did. See how it plays out. All right, with that, we always end it by saying "Fly, Eagles, fly!" Especially when they are the current Super Bowl
champs.
Thanks again, Johnny and Evan, for joining the show. And until next time, fly, Eagles, fly. We'll catch everybody later. Take care.
Hail to the Redskins.